Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We are considering the Ishwarapranidhana, and we came to a point that, and so far as the Ishwarapranidhana of Niyama is concerned, it is simplified to a very great extent. Ishwarapranidhana is just Nama Smaranam, Nama Shravanam. Starting from these things, you don't have to do anything. But just by Nama Shravanam or Nama Smaranam, Ishwarapranidhana can get started. Because usually people think Bhakti, devotion to divinity, etc. needs involvement. And we worldly people lack anything of that kind. And therefore it is felt that it is not our cup of tea. But Ishwarapranidhana has been so simplified, and we saw the quotation of Vyasa towards the end of last session, that you can be walking, talking, moving, you might be sleeping, lying down rather, lying on a bed. You can connect yourself with Ishwarapranidhana in simplest form is just by Nama Smaranam, Nama Shravanam even. And it can start there itself. Ishwarapranidhana of simplest form can start there itself. So, so-called logical minded people, intellectual people think that it won't work and it is not bhakti, and then it would be a waste of time to be taking name of divinity or hearing name of divinity. And that's why many of them refrain from such acts, because they see by their intellectual rationalism that there is no bhakti in it, no pranidhan, and therefore it would be a waste of time. But the thing is that that is not true. When it comes to divinity, he is available in simplest form. And one of the reasons that we can be giving here as to how that just hearing the name of the Lord or uttering name of the Lord, hearing the name of Bhagwan, uttering the name of Bhagwan would work. You should recall that we have Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adhyatmik aspects in our embodiment. You may not be involved in uttering the name of Bhagwan. It is simply because you don't have that bhakti, and therefore you would think that it will be futile. It would be of no avail, and that would be waste of time. But the thing is that within us, in our embodiment, we have celestial constitution. You may not be having bhakti, and you might have not fallen in love with divinity, but forces within you have fallen in love with divinity, and they will rejoice you hearing the name of divinity, hearing the grace of divinity, hearing the Bhagavad Leela, Bhagwan Nama, Bhagavad Leela. So by hearing that, you may not be finding any substance in it, but they certainly find substance in it. The Adi Devi constitution, the Devas within us, the Atma within us, the entity of Atma will certainly rejoice because Bhagwan is Anandamaya. And now that Ananda may not be there for you in name of God, remembering God, thinking about God, hearing about God. You may not find any Anandam. But we have Anandamaya kosha, and there it would reverberate to his name and or with the Bhagavad Leela being discussed or talked or heard, and that is how it can be understood that something in you has a joy and rejoices. Ishwarapranidhana. You may not respond. You might be almost like stone and therefore you don't respond. But that is not the case of everything within you. You may be stone to bhakti, but within you that is not the case, and therefore there will be definitely resonance to bhakti by way of Bhagwan Smaranam, Bhagwan Nama, etc. So these sadhanas do work. Adidaivic constitution that we have, Devatas within us, they would have resonance to name of divinity, and that would mean them a lot. Although the name may not mean you anything, they mean a lot to something in you. So the Adhyatma tells us about our constitution, which is Adhyatmik, Adhishthan, Adidaivik, Sangatanam and Adibhautik, Avishkaranam. And that's how the bhakti in the simplest form of hearing the name of divinity or uttering the name of divinity, hearing about divinity, hearing about the sports of divinity, grace, the glory of divinity, all this will be enormously pleasing to something within us, although we may not be pleased with it. This is what the mysticism of Dharma tells us. Anyway, so one should come out of this condition that unless I have bhava, bhakti bhava, there won't be a bhakti of any avail. We take an excuse from that account that I don't have bhakti bhava, and therefore there is no point in me taking name of God, hearing name of God, hearing glory of God. It would be all waste of time. This is our ignorance, and therefore our Adhyatma Shastra tells us that just hearing the name of the God. I remember one verse from Jnaneshwar's composition where he says, just stand at the gates of divinity for just a moment, that is enough. It is not that you must be doing it over a period of time, just wait for a moment. Devachiye dwari ubha kshana bhari. So, just for a moment, kshanabhar, where? Just wait at the gates of divinity. And mysticism tells us that the gates of divinity are our ears, auditory organ, and therefore he suggests just hear the name of God just for a moment at least. Now there can be no further reduction in or give more concession given to us. So it is not that we should be doing japa for over a period of time, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, etc. Just hearing the name, whether you are engrossed or not, just hearing the name, it will work on something within you which has resonance for name of divinity. There are lovers of divinity within us. Although we may not be lovers of divinity, we may not be loving God, but we have something within us who are all lovers of God. And therefore not much is expected. And that's how it would commence, and it should commence, and therefore even if we are taking the name of the God mechanically, it is mechanical in our dimension of understanding, because we are mechanical. But something within us has very rich resonance. You may not resonate with the name of God, but something in you resonates with the name of God, and that's how it can start. And then therefore very easy modes are given in Bhakti Sampradaya, Bhakti Shastra: Archanam, Pujanam, Stavanam, Shravanam. So very simple means are given, and therefore we certainly can take recourse to it. And even when it comes to idol worship, the image or the divinity in the form of image, Pratima, doesn't need much. Bhagavad Gita itself says in 9.26, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktiruparadaha ashnami prayatatmanaha. So even if you offer just simple things like Patram pushpam phalam toyam, now if you do not have bhakti bhava, but just fold your palms and honestly offer it with the name of divinity, utter the name of divinity, whether you are totally integrated with the name of divinity or not, let it be commenced like that, which seems to be a mechanical commencement, no problem about it. It is allowed to be having mechanical kind of bhakti at the beginning. Neophytes are allowed mechanical form of bhakti. You might be mechanically doing, but something in you is greatly involved in this act. So divinity doesn't need much. Patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam. These are simple things. Procuring these doesn't cost at all. Just the leaves of the tree, petals of the flowers, or a fruit, or merely a water, that also would be working. So in Pratima Pujanam, one thing that it is kind of hypocrisy if somebody is worshipping puja room worship without integration, without involvement, mechanically doing it. It is not hypocrisy. You might be hypocritic in your external manifestation, but internally, inside you, there is no such thing. Something is involved. That is how the Bhagwan Nama is, or Bhagwan is. So even Pujanam, Archanam has been allowed. And that's why we have concept of puja room in our house. Like we have various rooms in our house, we have a puja room, and that is the purpose of it. Anushasana Parva in Mahabharata also says in 104.112, Mam archayetu satatam. Now, incidentally, a factor comes up here, that a sect in Hinduism called Arya Samaj, the Arya Samaj is going overboard in their dogma that the divinity is never in form. It doesn't have form. So they do not believe in avatars. They do not believe in God manifesting in forms, human form, etc. And that is why they try to mislead the people, saying that divinity is only formless and that there are no avatars. And they say they adhere to Vedas. But that is not true. The Vedas have definitely allowed Pratima Pujana. The concept of avatar can be found in Vedas. So that's another thing that one can look into, that aspect, that how avatars have come in Vedas. The Vyaktopasana, how it has come in Vedas. The Murtopasana, how it has come in Vedas. It is all there. So, the concession has been given to childlike people in religious consciousness, that they can take recourse to the measures mentioned in Navavidha Bhakti that we had seen earlier, and various forms of Bhakti or puja room kind of process, which is called Shodashopachara Pujanam. This also we have considered on earlier occasion, but just to make you remember those things, it is called Shodashopachara Pujanam, which happens ideally in puja room. Then of course it has been shortlisted to Panchopachara Pujanam. If the 16 are too much, something simpler is available, which is Panchavidha or Panchopachara Pujanam. Or ultimately it comes to just one. Lit the lamp, burn some incense, offer some flowers, and fold your palms and prostrate. So, traditionally, Shodashopachar Pujanam has been mentioned, which is puja room ritual. Avahanam, asanam, padyam, ardhyam, achamaniyam, snanam, vastram, yajnopavitam, gandham, pushpapatram, dhoopadipam, naivedyam, achamaniyam, phalatambula dakshina, pradakshina, mantra pushpa. So these are the 16 aspects which have been mentioned in the Gruhya Dharma Sutras. And then of course it has got shortlisted later, then it became just 5, and then finally it has come to only 1. Somebody may lit the lamp at the idol of divinity in the house. You can just go and prostrate, maybe offer a flower if you have that, or just folding the palms, closing the eyes and doing some prarthana, some prayer. You may not be having bhakti, but can you not ask something? Human beings have no problem in asking something. Ishta prapti, anishta nivrutti, dhanadhana samruddhi. So these are desires of mankind. And even for very desires which are so prominently there in human psyche, we have prayers. Let us do just a prarthana for what we are looking for our desires to be fulfilled. So the simplest forms are made available. Then in the Shastras, the simplest forms of Ishwarapranidhana has been mentioned. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam. So any of these can be embraced. Then there is Navavidha Bhakti, which also has been quoted earlier. And it doesn't take much time of your day. It is just a minute or two or even less to be just standing in front of Divinity, folding the palms. Whatever state of mind what one might be having, if you can have pure mind, wonderful. If you don't have that, don't bother about it. Just take the name of the God, something within you which is purer than you, or perhaps all the time pure, ever pure, that will be involved. You may not be involved, but that is involved. The mysticism tells us that our finite soul, which is we ourselves, finite self, which we ourselves are, is lover of divinity, and divinity is the beloved. So if that lover, which is yourself, you may not be lover, but yourself is lover. So when the lover hears the name of beloved, you can imagine the joy. So that metaphysical entity, which is yourself, which is ever pure, will definitely fold the palms. While you have folded your palms mechanically, it won't. So we have to understand the mysticism behind our embodiment. Anyway, thinking about the God is so important in Bhakti, and therefore we can definitely develop certain habits. On waking up in the morning, let us make a habit. It might be in the beginning mechanical. It is mechanical on our part, but internally it won't be mechanical, as I just now told you. So the tradition has taught us, the moment we get up from the bed, or just we have woken up and we have sat on the bed, we should fold our palms in front of our eyes, front of our face, and chant Q-plate. Karagre vasate Lakshmi, Karamadhye Saraswati, Karamule tu Govindam, Prabhate Karadarshanam. Because the moment we get up in the morning, we are going to keep ourselves engaged in our karmas, activities. And let us invoke the celestial forces and divine force in our hands, with which we tend to do all activities. So Karagre Vasate Lakshmi, at the root of the palm, Lakshmi resides. Karamadhye Saraswati, at the mid of the palm, the deity of wisdom, Saraswati. And Karamule, at the bottom of the palm, it is Govinda. So Karagre means tips of the fingers, Lakshmi, mid of the palm, Saraswati, and root of the palm, Govinda. And therefore we must take the darshanam of our own palms. So also traditionally we are taught to utter few hymns or few shlokas, such as Brahma Murari, Tripurantakari, Bhanu Shashi Bhumi Suto Budhascha, Guruscha Shukra Shanirahu Ketava, Kurvantu Sarve Mama Suprabhatam. This comes in Vaman Puranam. That we worship all those forces who are governing us. The celestial forces such as Brahma, Murari, Tripurantakari, Brahma, the creation deity, Murari, Vishnu, the protective deity. Then Tripurantakari is the Shiva, destroyer, the deity. Bhanu, the sun, Shashi, the moon, Bhumi Suto, the Mars, Buddha, Mercury, Guru, Jupiter, Shukra, Venus, Shani, Saturn, and then Rahu, Ketu. Now these are the deities which astrology considers while trying to read our destiny. So these are the deities so important, Adidaivic constitutions in our life, and we beseech good morning from them. We wish them good morning and we expect to be wished good morning from them, rather than going to mortals and go on uttering good morning, good morning, good morning to each and every one in the family and expect good morning in return. So then it would become Suprabhatam, auspicious morning. So Navagrahas are invoked right at the beginning of the day. Then there are conventions to say Jai Shri Ram or just Shri Ram. Whenever you meet someone, utter Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram. As often as possible, try to utter the name of your personal deity or maybe Jai Shri Ram. Then, as a student of yoga and in practice of niyamas, it is important to also remember Guru. So there is a couplet. Pratasma Shirasi Shuklabje Vinetra Dvijam Guru Prasanna Vadanam Shantam Smaret Tannama Purvakam. Take the name of your Guru and try to prostrate, try to remember the auspicious person, the Guru, and also prostrate. Then also utter a couplet which is Samudra Vasane Devi Parvatastana Mandale Vishnu Patnim Namastubhyam Padasparsham Kshamasvame. The moment you get up, you are going to step your feet on the bhumi, the floor. Who is Lakshmi? So beg for a pardon that I am going to be stamping on you for a whole day for my personal and worldly mundane activity. So beseech a pardon, request for a pardon to this Vishnu Patni Lakshmi. It is because although she is the deity, you are going to stamp on her. So then comes the bathing time, and even in bathroom, as you should recall, I told you about this. Om Gange cha Yamune chaiva Godavari Saraswatim Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jale Asmin Sannidhim Guru. So we are invoking these auspicious rivers in our bucket of water in which we are going to take bath. So the puja or some kind of prarthana, prayer, has come in our culture for every single act, every other act. Then when you are taking food again, the food is consecrated and something is uttered like Sahanavavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahi, Tejasvina Madhitu Vastu Ma Vidvishavahi. Or in various cultures of various regions in Bharatavarsha, there are certain prayers which are to be uttered before going for food. because it is food is not just for quenching our hunger, but it is oblation to Vaishwanara Agni. So that also we have considered earlier times as to what is eating food, the ahara aspect, ahar, vihar, achar, vichar, and ahar, intaking, partaking the food. So that there we discussed the religious way of taking food. And the personal deity would be often remembered by the devotee, or any act is commenced, which is a unique act, what we call as a project. So there we also worship that Devata, Ganesha Devata, Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvighram Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. So we are used to the uttering these prarthanas, namas, suktas, which the tradition has given. And then at the end of the day, again when we retire on the bed, we again take the name of the God, our personal deity, or we do some Nama Japa. Ideally, it can be Ramakrishna Hari, Achyutananta Govinda, Krishna Murari, or the Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare, He Natha Narayana Vasudeva, Manojavam Marutulya Vegam, Jitendriyam Buddhimadam Varishtham, Vatatpajam Vanar Yutha Mukyam, Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye. So there are so many verses available for various deities, or Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Nidra Rupena Samsthita Namastasyai 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 Namo Namah. So that is invoking the deity behind the sleep, which is the form of Devi. So, point is, the day is commenced by opening the lock for activity with a prayer or with a hymn, and the day, at the end of the day, it is locked again with prayer, prarthana, sukta or smaranam. So locking the day and opening the lock of the day is all with the Bhagwan Smaranam. So this will work for culturing our mind, psyche, consciousness. And as it is evolved, the grade of our prayer would evolve and improve. So that is how Ishwarapranidhana can come in whatever form that is suitable to us, simplest of forms to us. And that has been provided by our tradition. So the point I am stressing today is that it is quite simplified process when we are not qualified to be doing very seriously the act of Ishwarapranidhana. Doesn't matter. It can be done in so very simple way and simplest of ways, by taking the name of the God, hearing the name of the God, thinking about the God, just uttering the name of the God. This can be developed as a habit. When you get up, develop the habit to take the name of the God. When you sit, take the name of the God. When you stir out of the house, make it a habit to take the name of the God. When you enter the house, make it a habit to take the name of the God. Let it be mechanical. It is not being objected. The bhava will come sooner or later. Even if the bhava doesn't come in lifetime, it will play its role, because something in you has the bhava. You may not be having bhava, but something in you has bhava. So that's how The Nama Rahasya takes the core aspect in our religious practices. Anyway, today's purpose was to tell you, don't bother about any mechanicality in your bhakti, not to bother about it. That was only purpose of the session today. There are no such gradations that very, very inferior to very, very superior. Name of the God, either heard or uttered or taken or remembered, there would be nothing like low grade, because the name itself has its grade. You may not be having the grade, but the name itself has grade. His name has the grade. Hearing the name, uttering the name, it would work. Let us commence from that. That would be Niyamanga Ishwarapranidhana. Anyway, let us proceed to discuss the Ishwarapranidhana in our next session. So enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.